These are the exercises for Futato chapter 22. Section B is our first section. We'll start with some translation. Natan et hazivach lahem. We have Natan here, our verb form. It's obviously a cal perfect. There's no prefix. No suffixes mean it's third masculine singular. So, he gave the sacrifice to them. Very straightforward. Number 2, halakhu imanu. We have here another perfect form. We can see it's third common plural. So they went or they walked imanu with us. Remember, the point of this chapter was, at least part of the point, was that you could have suffixes attached, appended to prepositions. Number 3, lakakta et hakesef mimeni. So here we have a perfect form again. Again, there's no prefix. The ta ending tells us it's second masculine singular. So you took, I think took would be sufficient here. I don't know what Futato has. We'll see in a moment. But you took et hakesef, the silver or the money, from me. You took the silver from me. Again, with min has this sort of quirky habit of duplicating itself before adding the suffix. So just remember that. Number 4, excuse me, takteka zeroa Adonai. There's the divine name. So we have takat here, a preposition with a suffix appended to it. So under you, and then we have zeroa Adonai, the arm of the Lord. Now there's no verb here, so we have to supply our own verb. So under you is the arm of the Lord would be the literal rendering. And in better English, the arm of the Lord is under you, putting it into more normal word order. Number 5, Gadol ha'ish asher amad nu lepanav. So gadol is an adjective, great, and then we have ha'ish, the man. Great, the man. Now, with an adjective here, when we do not have a definite article in front of the adjective, we should suspect a predicative use. And that's what we're going to have here. We have the adjective with no definite article, and here we have a noun with a definite article. So if our adjective also had the definite article, this would be an attributive relationship. It would be the great man. But we don't have that. So the gadol here is a predicative, okay, predicate adjective. So we would have here, great is the man, would be very literal. Let's just pursue the literal rendering here. Great is, supplying our verb for predication, the man. Asher, relative pronoun, who, and then we have amad nu, perfect form, verb form. There's no prefix out here, and the nu ending tells us it's first common plural. So we have who or which. I'm going to guess who because we have ha'ish here, the man, who. And then amad nu is we stood. Okay, it's perfect, cal perfect, first common plural. And then we have lifnei with a suffix, the third masculine singular suffix. So before or in the presence of him. So if we put all this together, great is the man who we stood before him. Very awkward. What we have here is we have the resumptive pronoun phenomenon. So this, beginning with a relative pronoun here, who we stood before him. In English, we're going to put it this way, before whom we stood. So the man before whom we stood is great, is the way Futato has this rendered. But again, the relative pronoun here, who, is resumed by the suffix right here, before him. So we're putting the suffix here, him, together with the who, relative pronoun, and so we get before whom. Again, my recommendation here is just go through like we did, very literally and awkwardly, and then keeping the resumptive pronoun issue in mind, and just put it into comprehensible English, good English. Number 6, batachnu bo. Another perfect form, batach. Again, you should be able to pick the verb forms out quickly because you know your vocabulary. Again, you must know your vocabulary. So batach nu, there's our verb form, no prefix. The nu ending tells us it's first common plural. It's going to be cow perfect. We've only had one stem or one verb pattern so far. That's the cow. And then bo is a preposition with the suffix attached. So we trust in him. You could also put we trusted, again, because the perfect sort of has a completed aspect to it. We trusted might be better, actually, more consistent, but again, I believe this is the way Futato has it. We trust, or we trusted in him. Number 7, Yatzach et Hamayim Aleichem. Yatzach, there's our verb form because we know our vocab. There's no prefix. In this case, there's no suffix, so this is the simplest form, the cow perfect third masculine singular. So he poured out, or poured, et hamayim, the water, aleichem. So we have al right here, preposition with a suffix attached. Okay, so upon you. He poured out the water on or upon you. Lachedu et ha'ir mehem. So we have here verb form again from lakad. There's no prefix, so it's cal perfect. The ending tells us it's third common plural. So they took, or they seized, or whatever. Et ha'ir, the city, mehem, from them. They captured, he has rendered here, the city from them. 22c, more translation, just phrases, the construct state. Again, this is by way of review. It's a good review, though. If you look at number 1 here, we have devar hanavi. We have noun, noun. Again, whenever you have two nouns juxtaposed together, you should be thinking construct state. And again, there will be certain tells and certain forms to that. But we can see from the two nouns that singular, singular. So, number 1, the word of the prophet. Okay, the second noun, what grammarians call the nomen rectum, or the noun in the absolute state, the noun in the final position, is definite because it has the definite article. So that makes the noun in construct definite, the word of the prophet. Again, this should be review, so I'm going to go through these a little more quickly here. Number 2, we have divrei hanavi. So we have here a plural. The seriyot is the sign of the plural in the construct. Goes from im to a. So number 2 would be the words, plural, of the prophet, hanavi. Number 3, tzeva hashmayim. Tzeva, okay, host or army, the host or army of heaven, hashamayim, or the heavens, if you want to be terribly literal about it. Number 4, we have torat ha'aretz. So we have noun, noun. Torat, okay, the T ending here is the construct form of the feminine singular, Torah. So we have Torat, tells us right away it's in construct. So we have the law of the land. Number 5, we have mishpachat. There's our T ending again for the feminine singular noun, which would normally end with comets hey. So we have mishpachat hamelech, the family of the king. Number 6, zivkei. There's our plural in construct, zivkei ha'elohim. We have the sacrifices, plural, of God. Number 7, nafshot ha'amim. Nafshot, plural, ha'amim. So we've got noun, noun, plural, plural this time. The souls of the people. And people is a collective noun. You could translate it peoples as well, but again, it's collective. Number 8, Yom Adonai, the day of the Lord. This is definite because Adonai, proper personal noun, of course the divine name here is definite, and so that makes the noun in construct definite, the day of the Lord. Number 9, Yemei Hashanah. We have a plural here, Yemei. The seriyot is the sign of the plural in construct. the days of the year. Number 10, Adon kol haaretz. Okay, we have Adon, there's a noun, and then kol, excuse me, adjective, and then a noun. So we have the Lord of all the earth. So we still have noun, and we have a construct chain. What we're helped here, we're kept from confusion by the scribal mark, the makif, the little lines here joining these. That tells us this whole thing should be understood as a phrase, as a construct phrase. The Lord of all the earth. And again, the definiteness is ruled by the final noun in the sequence. It has the definite article. Number 11, Reshit Darko. Noun, but in our second noun we have noun with suffix. We have here the beginning of his way. Now, we translate the beginning. You notice there's no definite article here. But we translate it definite because, if you recall, either from me saying it or from the chapter, that when you have a noun and you add a suffix to it, that makes it definite. It's not just any way, it's his way. It becomes specific. So nouns with suffixes appended to them are by nature definite. Number 12, Berit Eloheinu, the covenant of our God. Okay, Eloheinu, Elohim with a suffix. Section D, construct state with adjectives. Again, complicating things a little bit, but not a great deal. Remember, adjective, noun, an attributive relationship needs to agree in gender, number, and definiteness. So we have number 1 here, Yom Adonai Hagadol. So if we just had Yom Adonai, it would be the day of the Lord. Now we have Hagadol, and it's definite. So the question is, which noun does it go with? Now, it could go with either, because in this phrase, both nouns are considered definite. And again, we have gender-number agreement, so we're going to go with the great day of the Lord as opposed to the day of the great Lord. That just doesn't sound as good, or sounds a little odd. So the great day of the Lord would be our translation here. Number 2, Tzava Hashemayim Harav. So we have again the host of heaven, or the army of heaven, and then we have Harav. Now we know from this form that we have it's actually dual in form, so it's more than one. This is an oddity with Shemayim, by the way. It's dual in form, but it functions as a plural as well. But this adjective is singular, so we know that we need to put it with tzava. So we have the great host, or the great army of heaven. Rav can also mean great, just like Gadol earlier. It just means numerous or many. Number 3, Reshit Darko Hatova. So we have here, if we just take the construct form without the third word here, without the adjective, we would have the beginning of his way. We saw that a few moments earlier. We have here, though, hatova. So we have adjective, definite article, and it's feminine singular. Now this one, you'd have to remember that reshit is feminine as well. So we have the good beginning of his way. It ends with a tav, so that might be a giveaway as well for the feminine gender, but regardless, the good beginning of his way. Zivkei hakohen hatame. So we have initially here the sacrifices of the priest, and then we have hatame. Here's our adjective with definite article. Both of these words are considered definite, so which one does the adjective go with? Well, it's singular in form, so it would go with hakohen, the priest, because zivkei is a plural. Remember, we need to agree in gender, number, and definiteness. So number 4 would be the sacrifices of the unclean priest, as opposed to the unclean sacrifices of the priest. We have the sacrifices of the unclean priest. Unclean modifies priest here. Number 5, Devar Hanevi'im Hareshaim. Okay, we have the word of the prophets. Okay, nevi'im is plural and it's definite. Now we have our adjective here with definite article and it's plural. So the plural is going to go with the plural. So number 5, we have the word of the wicked prophets. Adjective here modifies the plural noun because they're both plural. Number 6, Yemei Hashana Hatovim. We have Yemei, so we have the days of the year. So Yemei is plural construct, Sarayod, and then we have our adjective, Hatovim. We notice our adjective is definite and it's plural, so it's going to modify Yemei. So we have the good days of the year. Number 7, Torat Adonai Ha-Tehorah. We've got the law of the Lord, okay, Torat Adonai, and then we've got Ha-Tehorah. We have an adjective, definite and feminine ending, and that's going to match up with Torat. So we have the pure law of the Lord. Number 8, Berit Eloheinu Hazakena. We have the covenant of our God, and then we have Zakena. Adjective, definite with definite article, and then we've got a feminine singular ending. So in this one, you'd have to, of course, know that Berit is feminine, but you can do this by process of elimination. Elohim is of course, not feminine. It's masculine, plural in form. So number 8, we'd have the old covenant. Okay, our adjective would go with Berit, the old covenant of our God. Number 9, Nafshot Ha'amim Hatehorot. So in this case, we've got, if you'll notice, all 3 are plural. So we have the souls of the people, or the peoples. And then we have an adjective here. It's definite, but it's plural. So which of these 2 plurals does this go with? Well, remember we need agreement in gender, number, and definiteness. So the gender here is what solves the issue. Ha-Tehorot is going to go with Nafshot. Okay, they're both feminine, plural in form. So we have the pure souls of the people. Ha'amim is masculine, plural in form. So that's the odd word out. Number 10, Divrei Hanavi Hagadol, the words of the prophet, and then we have our adjective. Our adjective is definite and it's singular. So we need to have the adjective modify our singular noun, the prophet. So the words of the great prophet. Number 11, Adon Kol Haaretz Hagadol. We have the Lord of the whole land, or the whole earth. And then we have here our adjective, Hagadol, definite. It's also masculine in form. With this one, you'd have to remember Eretz, the noun here, is feminine. So the adjective in this case would go with Adon, Lord, which is masculine. Masculine, masculine. So the great Lord of all the earth, or all the land. Number 12, Mishpachat Hamelech Hagadol. This one should be easy. We have a feminine noun here, and we have no indication of feminine gender in the noun or the adjective with the ending. So we have here the family of the great king. The adjective here modifies king. Parsing. Again, familiar territory for us. We'll do this as we usually do. Try to walk through each form, again, looking for the tells, looking for the things that will give the form away. So we have here Katavtem. Do we have a prefix? No, we do not. Kaf is not one of the consonants that might be an imperfect prefix consonant. So there's no prefix. Therefore, we know we have a perfect form. We've only had cal as a pattern. So this is cal perfect, and tem will tell us right away, because just by sheer repetition, all these exercises we've done up to this point, plus your own memory work, that is going to be second masculine plural. Cal perfect second masculine plural from katav. Number 2, nered. Now the noon. Do we have a prefix? Well, we might, because noon is one of the consonants that can be a prefixed consonant of an imperfect form. So how do we decide? Well, do we have any other clues? Yes, we do. Tsera, tsera is the sign of an imperfect form of a first yod verb lemma. So that tells us that this is indeed, the noon here is indeed an imperfect prefix. So we have cal imperfect. Our original lemma is going to be yarad, because the tsera tsera, again, is this sign for first yod verbs in the imperfect. And that means we have a cal imperfect first common plural. That's what the noon tells us from yarad. Asot. Do we have a prefix? No, we don't. We have an ot ending, which we're only going to find in two places. Infinitive constructs, we've seen that will have the ot ending, or plural participles. Again, for a verb form that ends in ot, that might be a plural participle. Well, how do we know? Well, we look at the vowel patterns. Again, I've told you a number of times already, when a vowel pattern is important, I'll tell you. And I've been telling you, so that you don't have to memorize everything. Just the ones that are important. We have here shava, holam. That's the sign of a cal infinitive construct from asa. Number 4, bonim. Do we have a prefix? No, we don't. Bet is not one of the consonants that could form an imperfect prefix, so we rule that out. We have an O vowel. That's our next, we're just doing a check down list here. Check what the patterns are. Consonant with the first vowel being an O vowel is the sign of the participle, and the ending im tells us it's masculine plural. Cal participle, masculine plural from bana. Matsanu, number 5. Matsanu. Do we have a prefix? No, we don't. We have the ending here. Again, the ending should telegraph what we have here. We're going to have first common plural, the new ending of a cal perfect. Again, we don't have a prefix, so it's perfect. Cal perfect, first common plural, matzah. Number 6, attain. This one might be a little trickier, but I've really told you a number of times, just memorize these particular forms from this particular lemma. But let's walk through it. Aleph, do we have a prefix? Well, we might, because aleph is one of the consonants that could form a cal imperfect. So if we have this out here, again, the next question we should ask ourselves, well, do I have a lemma atan? No, we don't. We haven't learned that lemma, and you're not going to get that lemma. It's not a lemma in Hebrew. So if you knew that, that would be your tip-off that this is an imperfect form here. This is a prefix. And that would tell you you have a cal imperfect first common singular. It doesn't tell you the lemma. Then you have to deal with this, what's left of it. And your next clue, again, we're just going through a check-down list, is this dagesh right here. Normally we would not have a dagesh in a consonant after a full vowel sound. Here we do. So when you see that dagesh there, you think, first question I should ask myself is, did something assimilate? Did a consonant assimilate into this consonant? And the only consonant that's going to do that is a noon. So do we have natan as a lemma? Yeah, we do. And again, natan is one of these that just takes odd forms. So let's go back here. We have a cal imperfect first common singular. That's what the aleph tells us, from natan. Number 7, shevet. Right away we should know what this is. Look at the pattern. Again, we don't have a prefix, so we rule the cal imperfect out. We have segol, segol, tav. That is the telltale sign of the cal infinitive construct from yashav. Okay, the segol, segol, tav is a pattern that you're going to get with first yod lemmas with the cal infinitive construct. Number 8, ketov. Do we have a prefix? No. What do we have? We have shava holam. Right away, cal infinitive construct from katav. That one was easy. Number 9, lakod. Do we have a prefix? No, we don't. Okay, what's our vowel pattern? Comets holam vav. The telltale sign of cal infinitive absolute from lakad. And finally, number 10, ya'alu. Do we have a prefix? Well, yod, we certainly could. And we have the yod here with the long U ending. That's going to suggest cal imperfect third masculine plural. But then we have to ask ourselves, well, for that to work, we need to get a lemma here. And do we have a lemma Allah, final hey, where the hey disappears? Yes, we do. That's a familiar lemma. Again, some verbs are going to have the consonant at the end drop before a vowel ending, okay, in the particular verb conjugation. That's what we have here. Cal imperfect third masculine plural from Allah. Translation, section 22F. We'll spend a little time going through the forms here. We have Yelakhu Anshe Ha'ir Imanu El Beit HaKohen. So Yelakhu, this is a verb form, and even if you didn't know the lemma, you should be able to tell. Again, here we have this familiar yod with the U ending. Again, it's going to be a dead giveaway for an imperfect form. Cal imperfect third masculine plural. But then we have to ask, well, what's our lemma? Now, if we're going through our check down list, do we have a prefix? Well, we might. Do we have a lemma yalak? Because that would mean that this isn't a prefix, that we'd have a perfect form here. Well, we don't. Again, and the vowel patterns would tell us that. There are other things that tell us that this is not a cal perfect. But if it's not, if it's cal imperfect, what is the lemma? We don't have yalak, we don't have nulak, and we don't have any assimilation here. We have no dagesh dot in the lamed. We'd have to remember that halak, hey, lamed, kaf, behaves just like a first yod verb. That's what we have here. We have halak, to go or to walk here. Cal imperfect, third masculine plural. So let's just work through here. We have anshe, that's the construct form of anashim, the plural for men. So the men of the city, and then again, that's a plural subject. Here's our plural verb form. The men of the city went or walked imanu, with us, to Beit HaKohen, to the house of the priest. Now, will walk is probably the better way to translate the imperfect. Again, we have to be mindful of that because it's incomplete aspect. You could translate this are walking as well. But again, Futato's trying to get us to train our minds into using the will word when it comes to the imperfect. So I need to be consistent there too. So the men of the city will walk with us to the house of the priest. Number 2. Adonai notain et haaretz lanu le'olam. So Adonai, divine name, we know what that is. Lord, the Lord. Notain, here's our verb form, natan. Our first vowel is an O vowel, O, the holum. So we have a cal masculine singular participle here. So the Lord is giving. Okay, trying to, with the participle, you want to, again, that incompleted sort of aspect. So the Lord, or Yahweh, is giving haaretz, the land, lanu, to us, le'olam, forever. Of course, et is our direct object marker. The Lord is giving the land to us forever. Number 3, Navi Adonai yered min hahar likro et sefer Torat haberit aleichem. Go back to the beginning here. Navi Adonai, so the prophet of the Lord. And then we have yered. Verb form, do we have a prefix? Well, we might. What's our next tell? Tzera tzera. So that tells us we have a cal imperfect from a first yod lemma. The lemma would be yarad, to go down. So cal imperfect third masculine singular. So the prophet of the Lord will go down, min, from the mountain, likro, to read, and here's our direct object marker, to read the scroll or the book of the law of the covenant. Okay, we have a construct chain, noun, noun, noun. These 3 form a construct chain, and the last one is definite, so we need to translate this, the book of the law of the covenant. alechem. We have here el, preposition el, which means to, and then our suffix, so to you. So we have here, the prophet of the Lord will come down from the mountain to read the book of the law of the covenant to you. Number 4, Hana'ar asher matzah et hazahav shalach oto li. So Hana'ar, we have the boy, the young man, the lad or whatever, the boy. Then we have asher, who, relative pronoun. Matzah, here's a verb lemma, we should know our vocab. And there's no prefix, there's no suffix as well, so this is cal perfect, third masculine singular. So the boy who he found, et, direct object marker, hazahav, the gold, the boy who found the gold, shalach, okay, another verb, cal perfect, third masculine singular, no prefix, and again, no suffix. He sent oto, now this one might be a little bit difficult because it's new. We have here a direct object marker. Remember, our normal direct object marker, ate or et, with either tsera or segol, becomes ot when suffixes are added. So he sent it li, to me. This is preposition lamed with the first common singular suffix. So the boy who found the gold sent it to me. Number 5, Tov ha'ish asher lev tahor betok'o. So tov, adjective, and again, when we see an adjective out front like this, and it has no definite article, and it's followed by a noun that is definite, again, we have a predicative relationship. So good, and we have ha'ish, the man. Good is the man, asher, who. Good is the man, who. And then we have heart, lev, and then we have an adjective. And then we have a betok preposition with suffix. So we need, again, to see what the relationship here is. We have noun, adjective, and the adjective does not have a definite article, and neither does the noun. So they actually still, even though you have no definite article here, you have agreement in gender, number, and definiteness. So we have the man who, a pure heart, a heart pure. Again, and we have an attributive relationship here. So the man who, a pure heart within him is good. Now, again, we have to put that in better English. So the man who, we're going to supply in English, has a pure heart within him is good. Okay, we have good as our predicate adjective. So we have is good in English. Number 6, Ani ole el heharim lashevet sham. Ani is a pronoun, independent pronoun, I. And so I, there's only one of me, I'm singular. And so we have a singular, masculine singular participle right here. We have Allah, clear lemma, with an O vowel as our first vowel. So I am going up El, to Heharim, to the mountains. Then we have La Shevet Sham. Again, our pattern here, segol, tav, should tell us we have a cal infinitive construct of a first yod lemma. And the lamed here would be the preposition, lamed, attached to an infinitive construct. So I am going up to the mountains to either sit or to dwell or to live there, sham. I am going up to the mountains to live there. Number 7, lo yakol ha'ach hahu la'amod lepanecha ki kadosh ata velo kadosh hu. So we have lo, that's our negator. No or not is the meaning. And then yakol, again, this is one of those unusual verbs. Yakol has its own sort of pattern. This is a cal, perfect, third masculine singular. Yakol means to be able, and we have it negated. So somebody, singular subject is not able to do something. So ha'ak is brother, it's definite, and then hahu. So hahu, who, of course, is either going to be a pronoun, your third person, third masculine, singular, independent personal pronoun, or it could be a demonstrative pronoun, and in that case it'd be functioning as an adjective. So we have here a definite article on this, and that's sort of a dead giveaway. You're not going to have this with the pronoun. Hahu is a dead giveaway that we have a demonstrative right here that's functioning adjectively, and since our noun also is definite, this is an attributive adjective-noun relationship here. So we have that brother is not able, and then la'amod, to stand. We have a preposition lamed attached to an infinitive construct. How do we know it's an infinitive construct? Shava holam. Not able to stand, and this is lifnei with a suffix, eka. Before you. Not able to stand before you. For or because. Holy are you, ata, there's another personal pronoun right here, because you are holy, and then we have velo, but not holy is he. So let's put it in better English here. That brother is not able to stand before you because you are holy, but he is not holy. Number 8, ava adon kol haaretz lepoch deka. We have ava, clear lemma, to be willing, and so we have a cal perfect third masculine singular here. We have the Lord of all the earth is willing. Okay, the Lord of all the earth is willing, and then we have this form here. So that the end we can tell is a suffix. And the difficulty is, what do we do with the rest of it? Well, we've got a lamed preposition prefixed to a form here with a suffix. Now, I think by process of elimination, even if we took the vowels out here, I think they would help actually. When we have pakad, if you know your vocab, you know that's a verb. And so when you have a verb form prefixed by a preposition, that's going to be an infinitive construct. Again, think back to the chapter on infinitive constructs. Verb forms, verb lemmas, prefixed with a preposition. That's an infinitive construct. That's the behavior. And then you have your suffix out here. So we have the Lord of all the earth is willing to care for you. The suffix here would be the object, to care for you. Pakad in your vocabulary is going to mean to visit or to appoint or something like that. Think back to the Abraham-Sarah story where it says the Lord visited Sarah. It means he took an interest in her. So here we have to take care of. Again, pakad has a number of meanings. It's very elastic as far as what it can mean. But anyway, let's keep moving on. Bible excerpts. Deuteronomy 1:30, we have Adonai Eloheikem HaHolek Lifneikem. So we have the Lord your God, Elohim with suffix, the Lord your God, HaHolek. We have a clear participle here from halak, okay, so to go or to walk, and the definite article appended to a participle gets translated as sort of a relative idea. So the Lord your God who is going or who is walking lifneikem before you. So the Lord your God who is walking or going before you. Joshua 22:31, Hayom yadanu ki betokenu Adonai. So we have Hayom. Hayom could be literally the day, but often it's the form that would mean today, this day, that kind of thing. So today, yadanu, verb form, we have the yod here is not a prefix for an imperfect. We have a full lemma here, yada, and then nu tells us we have a first common plural ending. This is cal perfect. So today, we knew or we know, again, it just depends on context, that Betoch, in the midst of us, in our midst is the Lord. Today we know that the Lord is in our midst. In Genesis 41:38, Ish Asher Ruach Elohim Bo. So Ish, a man who, Ruach, the Spirit of God in him. Literally again, a man who, the Spirit of God in him. And we don't have any verbs here. We have to supply them in English. So, a man in whom. Here's our relative or resumptive pronoun here. The suffix, resuming the thought of the relative pronoun back here. So, a man in whom is the Spirit of God. And that's the end of the exercises for Futato chapter 22.